Back for another one. Today I'm just going to be answering a question a few guys have asked me in the comments and, well, at work. And the question is, what's the difference between the wires and what wires do I use when I'm chasing toothy critters? Mostly mackerel, but I'll also explain or talk about what wire I use when I'm chasing wahoo and even shark fishing. Okay. As you know, there's a few different types of wires, and common ones are, so you got your single strand like in your mason, and that's a halco. These are just a single strand. Okay, then you got your 49 strand. You can't get these ones here, but these are 49 strands, so a very nice soft wire. And then your common ones, these are actually a multi-strand, but they're only basically 7 strand, not 49. So, okay, not quite as soft. So there you go, basically a couple of wires. Oh, and this one here too, it's a 7 strand, but it's nylon coated. Okay. Also you got there another 7 strand nylon coated, but in red. There's a few different ways you can get, but, and this is what I do, like there's no right way and wrong way to use wires, or, okay, you can use whatever brand or type of wire you like. This is just what I use them for. So what I use these different wires for. Okay, we'll start off, we'll just make it quick and simple. When I'm trolling hard bodies, generally, a lot of you guys know I don't run wire on my hard bodies. Most of the time I don't, when I'm especially chasing mackerel. But if there's a few wahoo around, or I'm later in the season I'm trolling hard bodies for wahoo, okay, I will put a bite trace on there, a small wire. And generally I just run a single strand, as you can see on this one. It's only short, it's just a bite trace, okay. And it's single strand. That's probably about 60 pound, I'd guess. I'd reckon for that, if I'm running for wahoo. And even if you do want to use them for mackerel, don't want to lose in your lures, just generally a single strand is fine, and just make it short, like a little bite trace. And then we just connect it to a little tiny snap swivel. So just a little strong snap, okay, to connect it. That's all. You don't want a big heavy duty one, just something small but strong to connect it. And you only want a bite trace. You don't want a like thing 2 foot long or 3 foot long. It's just going to get in the way. It's not necessary. It's only there for the teeth. So just, okay, make it short. And generally that's single strand. The reason I won't run single strand here is basically because it's easy to tie out in the boat. When I'm on the fly, it's quick and easy. If I want to get a different lure out of the bag, change colour or lure, and I haven't got a wire rigged up, which most of my lures haven't, I can just, you know, break the single strand wire by twisting it or curling it. You can break this fairly easy. And then there's a couple of haywire twists and you're good to go. You don't need crimps and pliers and everything else. So it's quick and easy to change and put on your lures. So I run single strand on my hard bodies if I'm chasing wahoo. Very rarely for mackerel at all. And yeah, it's so quick and easy. The downside is, might as well talk about the downside to single strand wire is this stuff. See, it's quite stiff. If it gets kinked, like if a fish swims around the wrong way, or you know, twist or mouth or something, I'll just kink this, doesn't matter, I won't use it anyway. You kink it, it stays kinked. And when you put pressure on it, straighten up and it kinks, that will snap there. That's a weak point now. And this stuff will snap quite easy after it's been kinked, okay? So that's the downside of single strand. Keep it nice and straight. Once it's kinked like that, there, that's useless now. I wouldn't run that. That's just going to lose lures and fish. Okay, that's the downside to it. Okay, the next one we'll talk about is the 49 strand. So we've got these ones here. One's light, one's heavy. So 49 strand. It's hard to find nowadays for some reason, but 49 strands, this 49 strand wire, you can see how soft this is. Like this is 150 pound. And look how soft that is and doesn't kink, see? And you can work with it. But it's not really a notable tire, not in this heavy stuff. Like in a 30 pound or a 40 pound if you find it, you can like tie snells and stuff in it if you wish. You can tie knots, but I prefer to crimp it, use like small double crimps. So find crimps in shops that fit. Double crimps usually is just easy. Okay, so a nice soft wire. So what this is good for, I use this for a variety of things. First of all, for my skirted lures, when I'm making up hook rigs for skirted lures, I run this. Okay, so 49 strand, usually 150 for my little blacks. and run single or double hooks, but I'll make the hook rigs out of this. Okay. Second of all, if I'm going shark fishing, it's a great wire for sharks. Okay. It's hard for them to bite through. It doesn't kink and twist. And it's just nice and soft. It's just a good all-round wire for shark fishing, especially when you're making nice long traces, like 10-foot traces or something. You're not going to be making out a single strand, it'll drive you insane. So it's the shark traces. The other thing this comes in good for is trawling. When I'm trawling my high-speed lures for wahoo, like skirts, like good old hexhead here. This thing looks a bit worse for wear. It's been around the block a few times. So a hexie for wahoo. You can see there, that's a multi-strand in between the hooks. And even the wire itself, the trace. I didn't rig this up. This is how these come when you buy them. It's quite a long trace. But I'd run a little bit shorter than that, probably about yay. But still, multi-strand, nice and soft. And I just think it gives you action, the lure a bit more freedom and action in the water. It's nice and soft, it won't kick and move around. It gives the action all the lures all the action they need. Okay, and being like a 49 strand, hard for the wahoo to bite through. Okay, so a good one for, say, your skirted lures and stuff if you're high speed trolling for a wahoo. Not going to kink, fish aren't going to bite through it, gives your lure all the action it needs and freedom. So that's a good one for that. Okay, getting down to our last couple here. So we'll get down to just the multi-strand, but this is I think like seven. Yeah, just 7 wrap. So once again, soft wire, not super soft, but soft. But what I mainly do with like that, and it's plastic coated. So when I get down to this like multi-strand wire, I buy it about 30 pound and plastic coated. This is the good stuff I use just to make up some spotty rigs. Okay. So this one here is crimped, but in my other videos I've showed you how you can actually tie these on. With this you can actually, it's soft enough to do some snells around your hook, put a snell on there, and then on this end you just make a loop and you can tie your leader line onto it. It's soft enough to bend around, it's not going to kink on you. It will pull up tight when you tie it, and being plastic coated, when you tie your mono to it, it's not going to hurt your mono and break you off. So that's just like the 7 strand I run when I'm chasing spotties. That's what I use that for. So you got the 7 strand there. Got it again there. I've got a couple of different ones, also plastic coated. And then you got in super flex there, see 1x7. But that's not plastic coated, so I'm not even sure why I got that. Might have been in a hurry or that's all I had left in the shop. Just something nice and tender, yeah, make some spotty rigs. Okay, and here's the other one. So this is also 1x7, just 7 strand, plastic coated, but it's in red. Some people believe that red disappears in the water. It's one of the first colours to go. So why not? A bit of red and wire, it's nice and soft to be able to snell it, tie it, just make some spotty rigs out of it. Make a light shark trace out of it for bull sharks in the canals, anything like that. Okay, that's just, guys, that's just a basic breakdown, different wires and what I use them for. Oh, even like my mackerel rigs, when we're trolling, slow trolling dead baits. I don't know if you notice, that's a single strand. Just a single strand. You got your haywire twist on that end, haywire twist on this end, with your little, you know, a bit of wire pointing up for the nose cone. Then once again, single strand wire, just short. And once that gets kinked, if you get a good fish or something, or use it a couple of times, it gets kinked, chop it off and just make another one on the fly. It's quick and easy to work with. And last but not least, the low bait rig for mackerel. I do this a bit different than a lot of guys. As you see here, this is multi-strand. I've actually made this out of 49 strand. I've got 49 strand in 30 pound. It's very thin, it's very soft. You can see no kinks. Okay, it ties fairly well. It looks a bit rough there now, but this fish's got caught a few fish, I think. Okay, so there's your mackerel rig, and I make that out of a 49 strand. And all I do is use that hook to put through the nose and just tow the live baits. The treble or toe, just flip flop behind, it's fine. But a lot of guys do make this rig out of a single strand too. So I have a single strand, one single strand bit from the swivel to the hook. Okay, so I just make that one bit there, and then I make us another separate little bit between there, single strand. You can use that too. You can do single strand for this rig or multi-strand. I prefer multi-strand. A lot of guys prefer the single, but both work quite well. Okay, not much else I can say about the wire. That's what I use them for anyway, guys. You'll get an idea what I use single strand for, what I use multi-strand for, and when I use really good stuff, the 49 strand, it's mainly when I'm making hook rigs for like the games, for the game lures, or if I'm going high speed trawling. It just, you know, gives the lure a lot more freedom. It doesn't kink and twist, and it's just a really good one for high speed. Okay. I think that one's about it. Just a quick, easy video. Hopefully we'll get out fishing soon. It's because I know summer's here. There's a few dolphin fish starting to show up, and I've heard of a few blacks. I've been too busy, but hopefully very soon I can get a day off with some decent weather. We'll get out for a fish and start putting a lot of this stuff to the test. Have a bit of fun. Anyway, guys, I'll see you next week with another video on who knows what. See you then. Thanks for watching.